カスタマイズ。
I just wanna dive into the future 共に行こうさ明日も今日も僕たちの旅は続くブログは今走り出した
Hello everyone, and welcome to AppliEpisode 34 of LostinTranslationmon. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
And this time we watched Appmon episode 34. Thank you, future. Welcome to AI's city. And yeah, that was an episode.
Barely.
For favourite bits, there weren't that many because there wasn't really much that stood out. However, what I did like was when they're all having their perfect meals in the household with the people who just moved in. And they each have pasta or omu rice or a burger. And that's sort of all Western inspired or Western food. Like omu rice is obviously inspired by the omelette. And a burger is a burger, obviously. And pasta is Italian. So they're not Japanese food. And then Astra has a very traditional meal of basically fish and rice. It looks like it's grilled fish or something. And that's something about his character that I really find is sweet. Like, while he's meant to be the young character who is really into AppTube, and usually when we have this sort of character who comes from a noble household or a respected household wants to run away from his family or what all this stuff that they want him to do, all these expectations of him, and he'll not want to have that. But instead, Astra still likes this. Like we had previously, we had the Timon episode, and Timon says how he reuses tea leaves, and Astra's offended. Like, just small bits like that. So of course, Astra has this rather traditional Japanese meal that he's just all very polite and is eating. And I just find that really sweet because that's a little aspect of his character that's not too in your face, and it's really nice. Like how Eri takes off her shoes when she steps on a table. It's just a small character thing that makes her just not a one-dimensional character, and it's the same for Astra, and it's really nice.
I also like when they walk in with his family and the two children, they recognize Eri, they're fans of hers, but they think that her catchphrase of explosive punch is explosive pants.
That was cute. And I feel like the best part of this episode was just when they're in the family, even though the whole episode doesn't entirely make that much sense and there's no time frame, which I guess brings it to my negative, which is how long since the last episode did this take place? Because Knight basically says, hey, I built this place when I came to be the CEO of L Corp, which I usually think that the Appmon episodes are maybe a day later or a couple of days, maybe even a week. But I don't know how he would be possibly able to build this huge dome out in nowhere with a monorail system in anything under the year. But no one's aged up and no one says how long has passed.
So I'm just going to run through all the questions I had about this episode in approximately the order I can remember the episode went in.
Okay, I'll try to answer them.
No, I don't need you to answer them. I just want to do, because they're not answerable, I don't think.
I won't be able to answer them probably.
All right, so step one is, how do the kids not know by now that L Corp is run by Leviathan? It should be really obvious.
It is exceptionally obvious.
Second, they all got selected for this lottery. First of all, they say that it was the odds were high. That doesn't make any sense. Lotteries don't work that way.
And all 4 of them got in.
Yeah, so I guess they should be suspicious about that. Except later we find out they shouldn't be, so let's let that one go. There is so L-Town is located in a huge dome out in this forested area at the edge of, the kids live in Tokyo, right?
Yes.
The edge of Tokyo. Now, if you recall, we went to Tokyo. We were on the 48th floor of a building, and if you looked off into the horizon, the city doesn't end.
Yep.
The city's massive.
Yeah, you can see the red dots at night on each of the buildings. There's a lot of buildings.
So, for this thing to be out in this forested area, it basically has to be in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Because even when we took the train between cities, they were still small towns.
Yep.
So this place could barely be situated anywhere, especially considering how big it is. Now, for something this large to get built, it would take billions and billions of dollars.
Yep.
It would take years of work.
Oh, yeah. That's why I said anything under a year is just weird.
And you'd think that, they would have mentioned it once beforehand. Oh, yeah, that thing's being built this whole time.
Yeah, but Knight explicitly said, this has always been my dream. So when I was able to build it when I became CEO of L Corp, I'm just like, well, but that was yesterday. How are you able to build all of this so quickly? I mean, I guess you could say, it's because Leviathan was able to have all the AIs just make it magic into existence.
It doesn't work that way.
But how, even if it was like that, let's just suspend our disbelief and say it was like that. How would the characters not ask, hey, where did this come from? How did he all of a sudden have enough AI power? Which, by the way, the fact that when they say, oh, the AIs are out of control, how do they not say Leviathan at any given point? Because we always know that AI, like, they were told, oh, Leviathan's aim is to take over the world with AI.
We're getting there. We're getting there soon.
It's just,
So the kids show up in this town, and they go over to a soccer field, under which there was a skyscraper, which had Unryuji Knight in it.
Yes, which is very Tokyo 3 in the way that it opens up. Like, well, I expect an Evangelion to jump out.
But why would he have been in a hidden building when he could have been in one of the normal buildings that was out there? Anyway, also, once he's addressing the crowd, we can see there's about 20 people in the crowd.
Yep.
So he's got this lottery thing, which appears to be for a tour of L Town, which I was guessing because it wasn't open yet. But there's like 20 people in the audience, and Eri goes, wow, there's so many people here.
Yeah.
But more people were in the crowd for her concert than there are here for this marvel about the way humans live. But whatever, let's pretend that all makes sense. It doesn't. I'm trying to think, there's another thing about the crowd size. Oh yeah, so people are getting this lottery to take a tour of L-Town, but we also find out that there have been people who have been living here for at least a week. I say at least a week because if these family that they run into say, oh, our lifestyle has changed as a result, they'd only know that after a period of time that was more than a day. So maybe they've been here for a week, probably more, considering how settled in they are. But before that, we know that they're going around, these kids are going around and they're talking about how, oh, it's all run by AI. What about cyber terrorism? Is that going to be a problem here? Okay,
and no one mentions Leviathan. No one says, hey, what about Leviathan? Like, that's a problem.
But so I just want to, that's just foreshadowed. So they go to this family's house and they sit down to eat, and the family just stands there watching them eat. Like,
I thought the twist was going to be all the people in this town are robots.
I mean, that would make more sense considering how they acted, but I just think it was that the writer, well, I'll get to it at the end, but I really feel like there weren't writers for this, or there was a writer's strike, or like, did they give it to some children to write this episode? I don't know.
It almost sounds kind of like, and I know I say this every time there's an episode that I don't particularly find amazing, is it felt very fanficky.
This one does.
Yeah.
So we see Knight talking, I forgot, during the crowd thing, Knight sees the kids and acts surprised. He's shocked that they're there.
I think I missed that part because I thought that he's smart. He was like, oh good, everything's going according to Keikaku.
No, he was like, the Appli drivers are here. So he turns around and you see him later on, and he's talking to the 4 like ultimate Atmon that he'd like summoned the episode beforehand, which he specifically sent out to search for these kids.
Yep.
And now they're all just in his office so that he can tell them, by the way, they're here.
Yes.
The reason I thought that he was surprised is he never said, like, I arranged for them to be here. He's like, wow, it's nuts that they won the lottery. It's the lottery from his company. If their names had come up, he knows who they are. That's how he recognized them. So he should be able to say, oh, we've got red flags on here, so we'll plan in advance. But it wasn't. He sent Batterymon at his own L-Town, which could only hurt his company's reputation, just to get these kids. Which also doesn't make sense, because why would he need to virus up the AI in the system that he controls directly?
That's a very good question.
If the police in the area will arrest everyone in a mob for spitting, couldn't he have come up with any sort of fake reason to bundle them off to AI jail and then just forget they're there forever?
Yeah, just invent a new rule like, oh, you're not allowed to say...
Kind of pink hair.
You're kind of pink hair, you can't say...
No.
Yeah, just to say, you can't say any catchphrases.
That would be really funny. You can't, like, catchphrases are illegal. Like, you could have had something funny there. But no, so he's got the 4 ultimate Atmon there.
Yes.
But instead of using them, he gets a regular Atmon and just says, go.
Yeah, like, I would set out these ultimate level Atmon who obviously don't have that 60-second time limit, and I believe the kids still do. So imagine if they just swarmed the kids. Also, Ray's not here again.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I don't think that this was a plot to get them all in there, because Ray would have also been sent an invitation, and we would have heard like, oh, but Ray wasn't interested in going, or Haru would have said something along those lines. Didn't bother. So then this battery Atmon goes, and it's just this really nothing fight, and the only thing that we really get out of it is that Yujin, sometimes the the Digivice duo, whatever,
Yeah, the
calls
duo.
calls for him to touch it again and do another insertion me thing, which doesn't make any. And it powers up Offmon and he wins a fight, whatever. It doesn't make any sense because he already does the insertion thing.
He's doing it
That's
again.
how he gets them powered up in the first place.
I-
So it implies he can double power them up.
I do like how it seems to drain his battery or
You're
drain
right.
his
It
own
is
power.
slightly balanced, but
No, but I find that interesting because it's more than just the human is a battery that just sits there. This is actually taking it like the human is a battery. It drains them.
I guess the one thing is you have to make decisions with this, but still, it seems like it seems like a mechanic that if it never came back, you'd be like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
It's not like Jogress, where if Jogress was introduced for the first time in 02 and then it never ever happened again, you'd be like, hold on a moment, why did you do this?
Yeah, like this doesn't seem like a huge, massive thing. I mean, they'll bring it back. Sure,
But no one
for
else
sure.
has duos either, so it's only a decision for Eugen to make.
Yes.
And we don't know if it's directed or it can only be done to Offmon.
Or it's only when the duo asks you to do it. Like you
Yeah.
can't because he was saying touchy, touchy, touchy. Like he didn't say
Come on.
like it wasn't Eugen doing it. It was his Appli drive. And what happens if the Appli drive you can only work like that once it's asked for?
That's
or
never
something?
how Digimon works. We know that. Once you've unlocked a functionality, it goes forever.
It's so weird. But however, about the fight with Batterymon, the thing I did like was when he sort of put them in like battery charging pads and stole their energy. I liked that part.
Yeah, but the problem was that the only reason he did that was because after they'd pretty much beaten him, the first time, he grew larger and said, my charging is complete.
See, I feel like that this fight would have been good if they removed that first, hey, my charging is complete, and did that, like he's lying on the floor. He is weak, he's been beaten, but all of a sudden, he charges from the floor and, then puts the battery pads. That would have been fine.
That would have made a lot of sense.
But both of them was just like, he already said he was fully charged.
You can't drain these dudes, you're fully charged.
And like he already sort of looked, he could have probably sat on them, but the fact they had to do it an extra thing, I just feel like it would have been fine on its own because I thought that was like generally an interesting thing because it sort of shows this is what Atmon is good at. It's about showing you how do they attack.
Oh, we forgot.
Yeah.
And the most annoying thing is when all the bad stuff starts happening to this AI town, and the kids look at each other and they go, "Must be cyber terrorism."
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird.
It's episode 34, right?
Yeah.
There have been 33 incidences at least.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes there have been 2 per episode.
And, there might have been some off screen that we don't know about.
So there's 35 incidences, as far as we're aware, of things going wrong because apps have been corrupted with the virus.
Yes.
So something goes wrong in this all AI town, and what's the first thing they think? It's not that there might be an app with the virus, which of course is what it is. It always is.
Oh, yes.
They're like, oh, must be cyber terrorists, because that's really likely.
See, what I have a problem with is that at the start when we first found out about L Corp, we're like, oh, that's cute. The kids are just sort of like blissfully unaware that the evil is so close.
2 episodes later, they should figure it out.
Yeah, it should be like something like, wait a minute. Now it's just the kids are stupid.
The kids are so dumb.
Not a real kid would not be this stupid. A real kid would at least make a guess. They would say this is a bit sus. No one has any doubt, which is strange considering we've seen that Haru is quite intelligent and is good at joining dots together and knows about media and would say, hey, this sounds a bit strange.
Speaking of things that kids should do that they didn't do.
What?
So we get this human guy popping down with a helmet
Oh
on.
my God.
And he goes, I'm the emissary of Leviathan, and I'm going to monologue to you for about 3 minutes. And the kids just stand there and they go, well, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, they pop out of the AR field and they go, well, that was weird. You'd think you just assess that they're human.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They don't appear to have any Atmon backing them up.
Mm-hmm.
If they're a human who's on the side of L Corp, which is something they've never seen before, ever, wouldn't you think maybe get Dokomon to punch him in the head and then interrogate him?
Yeah, like learn his identity, not just stand there. Like the kids just stand there.
He went on for a long time for no reason.
And the kids just stand there. And it was kind of a boring scene because I felt like it almost felt like the kids were watching like a TV screen that just lit up. And the
That
bad
would
guys
have made more sense.
Yeah, it would have made so much sense. Like, okay, you can't interact with it or talk to it or ask it questions or fight it because it's on a television screen. And bad guys have appeared in television screens before. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen. But no, he just, like, reveals himself to the kids. And the kids don't try to do anything about it. Like, no one tries to punch. No one tries to outsmart him. They just kind of stand there and let him talk.
Actually, especially since Cameramon is his Atmon.
Well, we don't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. And the thing is, I was like, okay, that's obviously Night. That's like 100% Night. Then the show like tries to give you a dramatic reveal where Night's standing in front of the helmet, and it's the last shot of the episode.
Dun, dun.
And it's meant to be this huge thing.
So you think that if Haru,
Yeah?
you think if Haru was so like good at connecting dots and putting things together, he would have noted. He would have mentioned, "Hey, there's a human in the AR field. That means he's probably an Appli driver."
Yeah, no one makes that connection. They just sort of say, "Oh, well, he's a human," and they don't draw any other conclusions after that. Do you have any more miscellaneous
I
bits?
think I've run through it all.
Yeah, like this was not a good episode. Like, I'm sad. Like, who's your favorite character? Because mine's just Astra. Mine's been Astra a lot lately, come to think of it.
I think it's Eri because she goes, "Yeah, explosive pants. Wait, no, punch. It was meant to be punch."
Yeah, like, and a character says, "Hey, you're saying pants now too," and she's like, "I don't care." And it's so sweet and so pure, and that's nice. But I feel like I'm really enjoying Astra, and that's weird because I used to hate Astra.
Yeah,
and now
he's
he's
nice
like
now.
he's constantly my favorite. And you know, after the touchy thing, he did a pretty generic like "not enu, not enai," and
Whatever, it does it
Yeah, it was kind of
sometimes.
like But I prefer when they're meaningful. But there was no meaningful digging it or not digging it this episode. So as to my ranking, this did not rank well. It was, I think I said it was 28th out of something. So it's just ranked between episode 14, which was a puzzle game in the city, Puzzlemon's Big Runaway, and above the aspiration of the Atmon, the legendary 7 code meeting.
Whatever. I don't care.
I'm
it's so bad.
Like, I feel bad saying that episodes of Atmon are bad because I have a lot of faith in Atmon, but this is not a good thing that they're doing. Whatever they're doing right now, I want them to go back on the track of goodness.
The worst thing is we know that next episode's gonna be filler as well because we know it's all about the AppliEpisode 470.
Yeah?
We know it's all about the AppliEpisode 470, and we know it's just gonna be this. Not an area focused episode isn't bad, but we're not gonna learn anything new. We're not gonna go forward at all, and I don't even think they would have shown you one of the big four bad guys if they were actually going to show up. Side note, in the end analyzery thing, they go, by the way, Charismon, he does mind control.
Yep.
They only ever do this when they show you a Digimon for the first time.
They did show him, but they didn't actually show his name.
I mean, when they fight him and
they show
stuff.
Name, but they don't. Yeah, we didn't fight him. We don't know we've never actually seen him, what he actually looks like.
Because-
so they actually showed us, and there was a cute joke about how Gatchmon says it sounds like curry rice.
No, Charismon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that's cute. I've always thought that these segments at the end are like simulations or representative of like a conversation Haru and Gatchmon would have, or like they're in his head as him trying to sort of work out what's happened, because it's always the things he learned. But he can't learn anything from this thing because he's never met it. He doesn't know it exists.
It almost felt like it had been put on this episode from the wrong episode.
Yeah, it felt like they've done a season's worth of them and they had extras.
It feels like they misplaced it because they said, "Oh, and what did we learn today? We learned don't take your eyes off Charismon."
Oh yeah, that's right.
And
It
I'm
does
like,
feel like it's done wrong.
Did we learn that? We didn't. Like, do Batterymon. We had it's not like we didn't have an Atmon introduced in this. We had Batterymon, and it was just like, don't forget to charge your phones.
Yeah. So right now, all I'm waiting for in this show, because I don't see the trajectory towards the end, right?
No.
We're at episode 34, and I don't see how they're meant to get to the end of the story, because Leviathan doesn't have any clear plans. He said his plans, obviously, but he doesn't have I want to do this thing that kids need to stop, and the kids don't know anything. So the most exciting thing I'm waiting for is for Haru to finally connect the dot between L Corp and Leviathan, and if he doesn't have like a face melting, like completely over the top, then it's not worth it.
Yeah, and the thing is, we were told at the start of the season, oh yeah, we need the 7 codes, and we'll open up the gate, and then we can fight Leviathan.
Yeah, they had a clear plan, and that was great. And now we're in this weird nothing
They
territory.
haven't been back. Ray has been back, but the main characters haven't been back. They said, oh, this is kind of hard right now. It's sort of like when you're playing a video game, and you're just kind of like, oh, well, nothing's going to happen if I just don't go back here.
I've just had the most horrifying thought.
What?
What if this is just Atmon season 1 and they never even meet Leviathan because they're waiting for another season?
Please, no. I mean, like, I like Atmon.
Like, what if we hit episode 52 or whatever it is, and they're at the gates of the deep web again? They're like, let's go back in, and it turned out from leaving to then it's just filler arc in the sense of like Naruto from episode like 80 or whatever to 120 or whatever it was, where none of those mattered because they're just going off to season 2 afterwards.
That would ruin Atmon. Like, so if I'm saying, oh, this is the best season of Digimon, but then it's like it has episodes like this, and it's kind of like, well, they're not terrible. Like, it's still better than Frontier, and it's probably more like more enjoyable than some episodes in 02.
What we've done is we've hit that section of Tamers where you go to the digital world and it's always really boring.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, I get it now, and you're not doing the things that I fell in love with this season for. Like, Tamers stopped doing the card slash as much to do clever things, and Atmon has stopped doing the whole...
The apps actually do stuff.
Or the search feature.
So where did that go? It's been 20 episodes.
No, I think it's been more than that. I think it's been 30. I think
since episode 4.
I feel like he hasn't done it since episode 4.
He searched for things.
Yeah, not after he met Eri and Astra, he stopped.
I don't know.
And that's worrying because that was something that we always said was the best thing about Atmon.
It was.
And they haven't done it for, I'd say, 30 episodes.
That was the gimmick. Why would they stop?
That was always the clever thing. Like, well, how do you beat the navigation system? You spin it around.
That's really funny.
How do you beat this game? Oh, here's a walkthrough and cheats. That was clever. Where's the how do you deplete the battery power? How do I dispose of a battery properly? There's none of that. It's just it is annoying. And it's sad because I love Atmon, but they keep on showing me reasons not to, and I don't want it to be an episode that's like full of like excitement, and then they decide that they've already drawn in the people that they wanted to draw in.
Hey brother, cool that we already got their money.
Yeah, like, oh, let's make the first like 20 episodes pretty great, and then make it a generic like Yokai Watch TV show or something. And that's what it's feeling like. It's feeling very sort of like Monster of the Week, but not in an interesting way. Like, I'm not saying Monster of the Week is bad, because the X-Files does Monster of the Week, and it's great. And a lot of Digimon seasons do Monsters of the Week. But this is just sort of like, I don't feel like we learn enough in these episodes. Like, I mean, we got Code Geass's Lelouch basically out of his name. He called himself Cloud?
Did he?
Yeah, he was like, I'm Cloud.
I didn't realize that he even named himself. I thought he was the emissary.
No, it was terrible. They called him Cloud. I'm pretty sure. Unless they just said Cloud for no reason. So it's basically 4 kids yell at Cloud.
Okay.
Well, not even yell at Cloud. They kind of like stare at Cloud.
Yeah.
Old man stares at Cloud.
Are we done here? Because this episode was boring.
Okay. Well, I guess to the outro, episode 35 is Aim for the 9 Gods, Appleyama 470 elections, which I'm pretty sure already sounds like that rock, paper, scissors contest that we had.
Yeah, it sounds like a similar sort of episode.
So if the episode is the same, I'm going to be very disappointed in Atmon.
Get ready.
So you can email us at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com, or you can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud, which, by the way, we did get a comment on our last episode, and it was from Adam Pulver, and he said that you were right about everything in the last Atmon episode.
It's in this one?
The one
or
before
last
this
time?
one. What do you mean?
What was I right about everything?
In the last episode of Atmon that we did.
What did I say?
I can't remember. I can't remember what the last episode was about.
Because I remember saying what would happen in this one, and I was perfectly accurate.
Maybe it means about that, but you said you're right about everything. So maybe just in general, like everything you were saying was right.
Mostly, that's how I feel about the things I say.
So you can follow us on Twitter, we're at TranslationMon, and you can find us on LostinTranslationmon on Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will and a red thread in the Appmon subreddit, which I'm a moderator of. Yay! We'd appreciate if you were to review us on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever podcast listening thing you listen to us on. We have a website where you can check out our Apply ranking and upcoming episodes. The Apply ranking's looking a bit sad because some of the episodes, like, I feel like a lot of the episodes, I'm just sort of saying, it deserves to be higher. Yeah, that's a thing. You can donate to our Patreon, which is linked in the description, and on our website, and you can do that starting from as little as $1 a month. $1 a month gets you access to our listener Slack chat group, but higher levels get you exclusive notes, information, early and unedited episode recordings, the ability to suggest discussion topics, Skype calls with May and Jay, and more.
And thank you to our current Patreon supporters, Sam Krieger, who hosts a podcast called The Moncast, which talks about Pokemon and Digimon, Stevie, who is also Stevie Patamon on Tumblr, and they're currently taking commissions, Wu Qinglong, who you can find at twitch.tv/Wu Qinglong, Metal Mamemon, Joe, Anime Guy, who is Anime Guy Kurosaki and the number 1 on YouTube.
And I forgot to add Penguin Mage there to that, so yeah.
Penguin
continue.
Mage.
Yep.
Chuckmon, Ishpal Bamba, Hiro Alato, who's at Hiro Alato on Twitter, Jason Morosky, Ryuchi, who is Frost Moragic on Archive of Our Own, Stephen Reeves, who is at WildWing64 on Twitter, Kaidawashi, Mac, Noam, Riku, Red and Garen from Breakfast with Digimon, which is another Digimon podcast you can find on SoundCloud, Chisai, who you can follow at Chisai236 on Tumblr, Corey, Kyle, The Lady Bugman, whose anime blog you can find at baguburagu.wordpress.com, Small Wolfie, who is on Sapastic as Small Wolfie and has a comic called Eden of Melancholy, Tom, Glitchgoat, Azra McCool, Nicholas, and Matthew.
You can also make a one-off donation on our PayPal, which you found in the description. It's paypal.me/Edgemon. Make sure to listen to the podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.